Hi everybody, we're going to be trying out at least 7 basic watercolor techniques today. This laminated paper has kind of a step-by-step what to do for each watercolor technique. I really want us to practice some more watercolor because our next project will be using watercolor. Okay, so to make this we're going to need obviously a watercolor brush, watercolor paint. I like to use 2 cups of water. I like to use one water cup that's just clean all the time and one that I can get a little bit dirty when I'm washing off my supplies. You're going to need a little salt, a oil pastel, I like a white one, and tape. You're going to divide your paper up into 7 places. You could even do more than 7 if you like. So right there I've got the paper taped down to the table. This is going to give me a nice clean line for my project when I take these off. Okay, I have 9. I know I said you needed at least 7, so obviously I can have 9 and that'll still work. Now that I have my different sections, you can decide where different things are going to go. You have a wet wash, a dry brush, crayon resist, blotting, wet and wet, masking tape, and think about where you might want to put these little tests. Okay, for a wash, you're going to get your brush really wet and you're going to just move some water into the side of your paint palette here. It's going to take quite a bit of water. Think about what colors you might want to use. I probably will stick to 3 colors, possibly 4 for my plan. So I've got quite a bit of water in there. Now I'm going to wake up my paint and just get a little bit on my paint. Just getting it ready. And for the wash, you just load up your brush with plenty of water and then go smooth strokes across. I want to tell you, when you're painting, you don't want to overwork the paper by going back and forth a lot with watercolor paint. Really just try and do it smooth. If you have extra, wipe it off on the edge. So that's a light blue wash. I think I'm going to go right next into blotting. So I'm going to get a little bit more blue. Just going to pick a different box. And I'm going to paint it across. The more paint you have on there, obviously the darker it's going to be. Pulling my paint down. Okay, I'm washing that off. And then I will use the the paper towel and blot on the paint. Just gives it kind of a texture and offers you something different. I'm going kind of quick because I know how much you love to watch videos and you want to get right to work and not watch me make a video the whole time. But I'm going to do a crayon resist, or a oil pastel resist, and I'm just going to do some designs with my oil pastel. That looks like it was a little bit dirty. If your oil pastel is dirty, you can just twirl it and it becomes clean. So I'm going to do a different color this time. I think I'm going to go with a violet. And I'm just going to again go across and see how it resists. I am going back and forth a little bit, but you don't want to overwork the paper too much. Alright, I'm going to do a wet on wet, and this is why I've kept one water completely clean. Make sure my brush is really clean, and just get the paper wet within that area. Your brush should be clean and not leave any paint behind when you're doing this. The whole paper is wet. And now I'm just going to take a little bit of that paint, put it in and see what happens. Where does it run to? So we used wet paper and wet paint. It's a little bit lighter in here. Please don't contaminate the other colors. I'm gonna let that part just kind of dry and see what happens, how it swirls around. One that you probably want to do kind of early on is the salt one, because it takes a while for that to show. So you're going to have your paint wet. I'm going to switch colors. How about a red? Okay. I'm just going to get some red over. I'm gentle with my paint, gentle with my brush. Never hold the brush down here on the fulcrum of the brush. You're going to hold it up here. And for this, you're going to get this wet with the paint. Paint it all down. And I didn't do that very smooth. You could just be smooth back and forth. And then use a little sprinkle of salt carefully down, just in your palm first. And sprinkle it around. See how that dries. It does take a little while to show, but it's kind of neat.